last time that I ordered Chinese food, it was over $100 just for takeout. And I'll tell you, I'm not doing that again anytime soon. You can actually make all of the delicious recipes from your favorite Chinese takeout places at home. They're, I personally think, even better and so much less expensive. This is like pennies on the dollar compared to what you're paying when you're ordering takeout. You're paying for a lot more, but just making it at home, you can still get all those classic flavors and really eat well. So today we're skipping the Chinese takeout box, and I'm gonna show you 6 of my favorite Chinese takeout dupes at home.
For this next recipe, we're making a slow cooker honey sesame chicken. And yes, it does taste as good as it looks. Isn't that a thing of beauty? I'll be honest, I was in a bit of a rush when I was starting to make this, but it came together really quickly, which I was super happy about. You just want to dice up about 1.5 to 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts, or I think you could use boneless, skinless thighs as well, or just cut the meat off the bone-on skin-on ones, because those are the cheapest. Whatever you have, just make some cubes of chicken and it will work. Add those to a bag with 1/3 a cup of cornstarch and shake so that the chicken is fully covered. I feel like cornstarch is always the secret ingredient in kind of the takeout knockoff Chinese food type food, and it is key. Now you want to take a couple tablespoons of oil over medium-high heat in a skillet, or in my case, I'm going to use my Instant Pot so I can do it all in one. And while that's heating, we're going to make our sauce. So mix 1/2 cup of cold water with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Then you want to add in 1/4 cup of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I guess that's like the exact amount that you need. Followed by 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, 6 tablespoons of honey. I feel like honey and soy sauce together is just heaven. Add 2 teaspoons of ketchup, 2 teaspoons of rice vinegar, and a couple teaspoons of garlic powder. If you have fresh, go ahead and use 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. And then whisk all that together. That is all you need for the sauce for this meal. Once your pan is hot, add your chicken and cook for 1 to 2 minutes until the chicken is just brown on the outside. The chicken's not going to be cooked through at all. If you're using a pan, you just want to take this off the heat and then grease a slow cooker and then pour the chicken in. In my case, I am just going to use the Instant Pot, so I am just going to deglaze it a little bit with a little bit of white wine, or you can use water or chicken broth. And I just really want to get everything off the bottom. And even though it looks like it was a little bit harder, it came right off no problem, and there was nothing stuck to the bottom at the end. Then pour your sauce over, cover, and cook on low for 3 hours. This ended up being amazing. It was so good. Again, that sauce, not watery at all, nice and thick. And I just cooked up some pasta to go with this. I had some brown rice pasta and put that all together. You could serve this over rice. You could serve it with cauliflower rice, zoodles, whatever you have, whatever you want to use, it's going to be delicious. I topped mine with some sesame seeds, sliced scallions, and a little bit of crushed red pepper. But you could put chili crunch on this or whatever you like. Put some more soy sauce on it. It doesn't really need anything though. The flavor is so amazing. This is so good. This is a must make. This next one is another real winner. This is an easy beef and broccoli, and you can see by the colors in this and the brightness that it is absolutely delicious and pretty healthy too, because you got all that broccoli in there. I love that complete meal aspect to this. I'm just going to use a package of broccoli that I can just microwave. You could use frozen broccoli too. You can steam broccoli if you want to. You can do whatever way you want to get your broccoli started. Then I just have some frozen riced cauliflower, but you can just use either like quick rice, or you can cook up rice in your Instant Pot. You can do whatever you want to make some rice to go with it. And then this is basically like steakums. You can get shaved steak, shaved beef, or you can get like a sirloin and slice that up. So whatever you want to do to make things faster. Now we're going to make our own sauce with 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, a 1/2 cup of chicken stock, or I'm using chicken bouillon, a little bit of red pepper flakes, 3/4 cup of soy sauce, 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, and 1/3 cup of honey. And I'm just going to spray down my 1/3 cup measure and then put the honey in there, and it should slide right out, which is a really nice trick that I love to use. 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar, 2 cloves of minced or grated garlic, or alternatively, you can just use a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons of ground ginger, and I just keep mine in the freezer so that I can just grate it right up, but you can just use dried ground ginger as well. About a teaspoon of that would be fine. We're just going to give this a good stir and heat it until boiling over medium heat, and that's a lot of ingredients. The recipe will be down in the description box below, and believe me, it is actually pretty simple to put together. Just kind of pull everything together. However, there's always the option of just buying like a teriyaki sauce or a store-bought sauce and doing this, and I'm sure that will be delicious as well and will save you even more time. Once your sauce is simmering, stir it in a slurry of 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water, and then you want to let this simmer over a low heat for 5 to 8 minutes, and it's going to thicken up quite a bit. I think I actually only did mine for like 3 minutes, and I felt like mine was thick enough, so it doesn't take much time once you bring that sauce up to temperature and add the slurry in for it to really thicken and become this very luscious, delicious sauce. And then in a larger pan, you just want to heat that over medium heat and then either cook your steakums or your shaved steak. Mine kind of were like in these like hamburger patty type things. And that only takes a few minutes depending on what the package instructions say, or especially if you have like the shaved steak that's not frozen, it will take just a couple minutes to cook up. And then you just want to soak up any of the oil that's in the pan. And then in the meantime, I just microwaved my broccoli according to the package instructions and added that right into the steak as soon as it was cooked. And then you just take your sauce and pour it right over, and everything is absolutely delicious. And like I said, the hardest part of this is really just getting that sauce together and putting those ingredients together. You can always buy a sauce. I'm sure that would be great either way, but this sauce was really fabulous. Like, it was a really, really great homemade sauce and totally worth it, especially if you already have the things on hand. It really doesn't take that much time. That's really the majority of the work in this. And then whatever you want to serve it over, cauliflower rice, I just microwaved ours, regular rice, anything. It's going to be great. And you could even serve it with some of those Dollar Tree spring rolls if you have some. I didn't have any this night, but it was still wonderful, and we absolutely loved it. So much faster than ordering Chinese takeout for me, and more delicious, more healthy. That's personal opinion, but I really, really liked it.
I hope you're absolutely loving these takeout dupes. If you're a mom who spends over $1,000 a month on groceries and you want to spend less, I have something for you. Each month, I create a monthly mix and match meal plan that has seasonal and sale-friendly recipes so that you can shop what you already have in your pantry, as well as what's on sale at the grocery store. But that's not all. I also have a special deal that is for today only, and I really wanted to let you know about this. I have a Smart Spend Bootcamp, which is a 4-week self-paced program that teaches you all of my tips and tricks for saving money on groceries so that my family of 5 can spend less than $1,000 a month. And I want to make sure that you can do that too. So when you purchase the annual plan of the monthly mix and match meal plan for only $5 a month, it's pretty inexpensive, you also get the Smart Spend Bootcamp for free, and that only lasts until midnight tonight. I know it's super hard in 2024, like it's gotten so expensive, and I get it, and I've had to work hard to apply my own methods to save us money and keep us under that $1,000 mark. But within the Smart Spend Bootcamp, you can learn all those things and you can do it too. And that's why I just wanted to put that offer out there for you, because it literally is the last day, and I just want to make sure that everyone who wants to take advantage of it can. If you're spending over that $1,000 mark, I believe in you. You can do it with my Smart Spend Bootcamp. You can learn how. Just click the link in the description box below to get started today.
So this next one is also another slow cooker one. We've got orange chicken, and this is better than the restaurant kind of thing. And I was encouraged to make this because one thing is I just wanted to have some orange chicken. Like, it sounded really good. And another thing is that I had some marmalade left over from a like orange ground beef recipe that I made. It's on the website, and I'll put it in my description box below. But I want to use the rest of the marmalade. So I'm like, what are we going to do? So now I have 2 recipes I can use marmalade for, both fantastic. So it's a win-win, especially if you have leftover marmalade from something. I'm always like, what are you going to do with this? Now you know what to do. We're going to make orange chicken. So I've got a couple pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and you just want to cut those into cubes. And I did finally get some Ziploc bags. So I've got my trusty bag holder and Ziploc bag here. We're going to put the chicken here because we're going to coat it in cornstarch. And this is like the absolute best way to do this. You want to put 1/3 a cup of cornstarch and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt and pepper. And that's it. We're just going to kind of coat that chicken in the cornstarch and a little salt and pepper. And that's going to be that for that chicken. Now for the sauce, you want 1 cup of marmalade, 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then a teaspoon of sesame oil. Then you just want to spray down your slow cooker with the cooking spray and then pour in that chicken. I don't know about you, but like cornstarch and chicken gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, it makes my skin... You can comment below if you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's the feeling of the cornstarch. It tastes delicious. It's fine once it's cooked, but it's just the feeling of cornstarch. It just gives me Goosebumps. And so you want to pour the sauce over, and we're going to cook on low for 3 hours. You may need to go longer depending on your crock pot. Mine just cooks pretty fast, always has. It's just a regular crock pot brand, so I figure these days everyone's kind of like that. You do want to make sure your chicken's cooked all the way through. And then I had a couple of cups of broccoli. I just microwaved it according to package instructions and then added it in there. And I found that that was a great way to kind of cover the chicken in the sauce. And if you look at this, like, this looks like restaurant chicken, and it tastes like it too. It's so good, but without like that deep fry flavor that you get, which I prefer it not to have. I just put a little bit of sesame seeds over this and had some rice with it. It was actually like great meal prep and so delicious. This one is an easy homemade chicken lo mein. So you want to get started with 2 to 3 cloves of minced garlic, or instead you could use a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then you want like 1 pound to 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. You could also use breasts in this situation, or again, cut the meat off of a bone-in, skin-on thigh. And you just want to kind of dice it into bite-sized pieces. And then in a wok or a large pan, if you don't have a wok, over medium-high heat, you want to heat about 2 tablespoons of either sesame oil or a like high heat oil, maybe like a canola or a vegetable. And then you just want to add that chicken to the oil once it's hot and cook, stirring frequently until it's fully cooked through. That could be like 5 to 8 minutes. And then while that's cooking, we're just going to cook up a quick sauce with 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of sugar, a teaspoon of sesame oil, a teaspoon of ground ginger, and then you could add in a teaspoon of sriracha. That's completely optional if you want something spicy. You want to make sure that's well mixed. And at the same time, you want to have a pot of boiling water, because we're going to be boiling up 1/2 pound of linguine noodles. You could actually use linguine, spaghetti, or traditional lo mein noodles, but I like using linguine because they're just cheaper and they work out great in this. And then in that same wok, once that chicken is done, you can just remove that to a plate. And then we're going to add in 1 bag of the Walmart deluxe stir fry vegetables, the frozen ones. You could grab them from any grocery store, and any mixture that you like. You know, some have like more mushrooms and peppers, some are more of a stir fry. And we're just going to cook those until they're kind of done. It'll take like 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't take a long time over that high heat. And then we're just going to add that chicken back to the pan with the garlic, and kind of let that garlic get fragrant, and then add in the cooked noodles as well as the sauce. And you just want to toss all of that together. This ends up tasting phenomenal. It's like way healthier than what you'd get at the restaurant, and really, really delicious. And it's actually like so crazy inexpensive and super easy to make. Another amazing like takeout budget hack is to grab some frozen wontons, pot stickers, or even like those mini egg rolls. They have great ones, even at Dollar Tree. In this case, I had some mini wontons from Walmart. It's always great to just keep a bag of these in the freezer, because even if I'm making up a quick fried rice, which is something I can make up with any sort of leftover beef or chicken, or even just veggies and eggs, I can add these wontons in and it feels like something really special. So I just follow the instructions on the back of the package. They're super simple to make, and they make a meal, or they make something simple turn into something amazing. This is what our meal looked like this particular night. I like to serve ours with a little bit of extra soy sauce if you want, some sriracha if you want something spicy. And I actually love this chili crunch. The kids love those things. Yeah, this chili crunch is really, really delicious to add over to actually any of the meals you're going to see in this video. And that's also in my Amazon store if you're interested in grabbing it. Start off with cashew chicken, and this has been a family favorite for years now, and it's super simple. You just want to start by making a sauce. So I am cooking up some rice on the side, and this would be good over rice noodles as well, or even some cauliflower rice. Lately I've found that I actually like to do like half cauliflower rice, half regular rice to get some more veggies in, and you can't even tell the difference. So for the sauce, I'm over medium heat. I've got 6 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil, or you could just use regular sesame oil as well, 3/4 a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of hoisin sauce, and then about a half a teaspoon of fresh grated ginger. I always just keep a root of ginger in my freezer, and it makes it super easy to just grate into anything. And it's really inexpensive, so it adds a lot of flavor. But if you don't have that, you can also just use about a half a teaspoon of dried powdered ginger, and then 2 cloves of grated garlic as well. Or again, you could use about a teaspoon of garlic powder. Give it a good stir and then add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and whisk that in as well. And you're just gonna bring this to a simmer and let it cook just until it thickens and bubbles. And that cornstarch really makes this sauce fantastic. And you can kind of remove it from the heat and see where it's at. Like if you feel like it's too thick, you can add water to thin it out and it will make it kind of pour better over the chicken and the broccoli. That cornstarch really makes this sauce nice and thick and kind of feel like the restaurant. So now I'm just going to dice up my chicken, and I'm using chicken breasts, but you could also use boneless, skinless chicken thighs, or even bone-in chicken thighs. You just need to take the skin off and take them off the bone, but any sort of chicken is going to do for this. And as far as the sizing of the pieces goes, you just want to be mindful of like how big a piece you want to eat of chicken, and that's how big you can cut them. And because we're cooking all the chicken at the same time, you also want to be mindful that try your best to make sure that the cubes are similar in size so that they cook in the same amount of time. So I have 2 smaller size sheet pans and I lined them with some parchment paper, but you could also spray your sheet pan down with some cooking spray or grease it. And then I'm just going to add a generous serving of salt and pepper over the chicken. And then you want to drizzle about half of the sauce over the chicken. You can see that this is a little bit thicker. I ended up thinning it out later, but you want to get that sauce on that chicken so that it gets lots of flavor. And then we're going to bake this at 400 degrees for about 8 minutes. And then while that chicken's cooking, I'm going to take this opportunity and time to slice a couple of peppers. I have yellow and orange today, but you could use red. I haven't tried it with green, but I do find that green peppers taste a little bit different than red and yellow and orange for some reason. But if you love green peppers, I think it would taste great. And so you just want to cut those also into bite-sized pieces. And this is kind of my method for cutting peppers. If you start from the top down, it seems like it's much easier and then you don't get like a bunch of seeds in there. So I really like it. And then once the 8 minutes is up, you just want to add about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of broccoli. Now you could use fresh broccoli. I'm just using frozen. You can see it's coming right out of the bag. And that is a great budget tip to be able to make your vegetables last longer and still get a lot of veggies in without spending a ton of money. The frozen vegetables are flash frozen, so they retain all the nutrients and they're at the peak of freshness. I also added about 2/3 a cup of cashews. Mine were salted and roasted, but you could also use like unsalted if you don't want to add the extra salt. And then all of the peppers that I sliced up, and I'm just evenly dividing this among the 2 pans. If you wanted to use one large pan, that's totally fine too. And then another about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And at this point, I added a little bit of water to my sauce because it really had thickened up. And then I added about half of what was left of the sauce over all the vegetables. And then you want to put this back in the oven, still at 400 degrees for about 12 minutes until that chicken is fully cooked through. And then you can take that back out of the oven. We're going to put the remaining sauce all over the top, just drizzle it with it. And then you can garnish it with whatever you like. I used some toasted sesame seeds and some sliced green scallions just to make it pretty and give it a little bit of crunch and pop. And it is fantastic. Sometimes I just feel like when meals look pretty, they taste better. And this is a gorgeous one. And it's full of veggies, super healthy for you, and super enjoyable. For this one, we are making General's chicken. I'm not even going to attempt. It's either like Gao's or So's, but it is absolutely delicious. It is a takeout favorite. And you're going to put 1 cup of cornstarch into a bag. I'm just using my fun little bag holders here. So everything you see in this video will be linked below if you need any of it. Then I'm adding a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of garlic powder, and then 1/2 teaspoon of cracked pepper. Then you just want to kind of shake that around, make sure everything's mixed up, and you're going to add your chicken. So I'm going to add, this is about 4 deboned, de-skinned, boneless, well, they were bone-on, skin-on chicken breasts, but I took everything off of there and then chopped it up into some cubes. Now the recipe does call for a boneless, skinless chicken breast, and I did want to show you how cool these are because they break down really well to store. And then, so yeah, the recipe calls for boneless, skinless chicken breast, a couple of those, and I was just going with what I had, so I pulled those out of the freezer. Those end up at 67 cents a pound, and I don't know. If I was going to do this again, I would still use boneless, skinless chicken thighs, or I would do the method that I did because I just felt like that fat really added something to it. It was really, really, really good. So you just want to shake everything around really, really well. Hey, and that also cuts down on cost. So we're we're rocking here at like $1.50 so far. And you know, how much cornstarch costs is pretty inexpensive as well. And I'm going to pop that onto the stove. Now I don't really show that, but you want to cook your chicken for a couple minutes on each side just to brown it up on the stove, and use a couple of tablespoons of oil for that. And then while the chicken's cooking up, you want to start your sauce. So you're going to need 4 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. And, you know, I don't know if this is something you have on hand. I definitely haven't seen this, I don't think, at the Dollar Tree. Comment below if you have seen it at Dollar Tree. A lot of times I've made sauces as well without hoisin that did call for it, and they turned out fine. So this recipe is worth it though. So if you want to go out and buy some hoisin sauce, have it on hand so that you can make this recipe all the time. 100% worth it. Then you want to add 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, which I do know that they sell at Dollar Tree. So far we're looking at a little over $1 on our chicken, and $1 potentially on your soy sauce if you don't have any on hand. And I don't know how much on the hoisin, but that would be the only thing that might be a little bit over on this. And then as always, I'm substituting. So it calls for 4 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, and I did not have any. So I used 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, ran out of that, and then used 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. If you have rice wine vinegar, absolutely use it. And then I think from there, go with the apple cider vinegar, and then the red wine vinegar was kind of a last ditch effort. It still tasted fine. I just think it might have tasted a little bit better with the rice wine vinegar. Now you want to add in 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. So I'm just gonna grate in a large clove. Then you want to add 2 tablespoons of water, and then you can add some hot pepper flakes. So the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon, which would be a lot, guys. Like that would make it super spicy and hot. I added a sprinkle and it still gave it heat. So my recommendation is if you don't like heat, don't add it. If you like a little, add a sprinkle, but even then it gave it quite a bit of heat. So adding the whole teaspoon would be quite a bit. You just want to mix this well. And this is what the chicken looks like here on the stove. You just want to toss it really well, make sure it gets crispy on the outside, and then you can add it right to your crock pot. The goal here is not to cook the chicken all the way through, but to seal in the moisture and kind of solidify that cornstarch crust on the outside. Then you want to pour in half of your sauce and cook it on low for 4 hours. Now my crock pot cooks pretty hot, so I actually cooked mine for about 2 hours and it was perfectly cooked. So you definitely want to watch this depending on how your crock pot cooks. So you can see I had my fork and knife in there just to make sure it was cooked all the way through. At this point, you want to add the rest of your sauce in there. And the only thing I would tell you guys is make double this sauce, make triple this sauce. Like the chicken sops it right up and it tastes amazing. Like it's so gooey and reminds me of, like I said, 100% that takeout chicken. It was so good, but I just wish I had a little bit more sauce so that I could put it all over my rice and just mix everything together. So I did serve this just with a white rice and actually made it ahead kind of as a make ahead lunch and dinner for the next day. And I put a few scallions and some sesame seeds over the top. But really, you can just make that chicken, make the sauce, and make some rice. And that is definitely less than $5 for you. And it is so, so, so amazing. I think even with buying that specialty ingredient, you're still going to end up less than $5. So 100% recommend this. For those of you that want to cut your grocery bill, make sure to click that link in the description box down below and get your deal where you get my meal plan for the annual cost, and you're going to get that Smart Spend boot camp for free. How's it going, Benny?
It's good. Mama, keep this, right? Mama, I get